content. Wow, another time lapse. This time it's for Mario and Peach. And like any good artist content creator, it's time to hold our lav mic instead of pinning it to our shirt. I'm kidding. Let's start. So, like any piece I start with some gesture drawings. Just noodling around, seeing what might work. Looking for a neutral pose specifically here. Or fairly neutral. Nothing too crazy, nothing too dynamic. You'll notice that I had considered I had to do it to him pose. Decided eventually to not do that. Go for something a little less memey. A little more normal and not meme. So we'll see me tootle through some gesture drawings here. So for Mario, I had a pretty solid vision in mind from the beginning. I was going to sort of base his fit on some of my own like style inspiration. You wouldn't know it from just this shirt, but take a lot of style inspiration from the producer of the podcast, Truanon, Young Chomsky. I think he's got great fits, and I grabbed a whole bunch of reference from Young Chomsky. So that's kind of what you're seeing here with Mario. As you'll notice, I eventually changed the pose. For whatever reason, I wasn't enjoying the hands in the pockets, and instead went with the hands behind the back. Finishing my coffee this morning. We're doing this one in the morning to see how that goes. Eventually changed the direction of the head. I decided that straight on angle is not really working for me. I prefer to draw characters from 3/4 view anyway. I'm not really sure why. Straight on always just feels so static to me. So, tilting the head up a little bit, turning it 3/4. Ultimately, I think it looks better, and it looks more like a Mario silhouette, I guess. I really like what, I think it's the Mario Superstar Saga does with Mario and Luigi, where they don't have mouths, they just like use the mustache as a mouth. Classic cartoon trope. So I kind of went for that here, although you'll see, you can see that I kind of drew the bottom lip as well. For this piece, I definitely bounced around, and I, just because I couldn't, it's not that I couldn't stay focused, but it was more like I would get frustrated with one piece and I did not want to do a study, so I would just skip over to the other drawing and work on that for a while. Peach does not go well for a very long time. She looks really weird. Pretty much immediately. Her proportions are all wrong, which I have to adjust later. I originally was going to give her like some like overalls and like a big sweatshirt, big jacked, but eventually decided against it. I'm not entirely sure why. I guess it just looked kind of, I am entirely sure why. Now that I'm seeing me draw the jacket, I was like wide. I know why I stopped doing the jackets. It's because I did not know how to draw it and I could not find reference, and it was bothering the hell out of me. So I just said, fuck it, do a different idea for the outfit. For Peach's outfit and for the other character that will be showing in the next time lapse, I heavily based their outfits based on the Sailor Scouts from Sailor Moon. They had some drip. What can I say? The Sailor Scouts had drip. No one can deny this. So now we're on to the inking stage. Eventually, Mario's outfit was I had it pretty set in stone very early on because, I don't know, I had a good, he's the older brother. He's going to be dressed a little bit older, so he's a little bit more like adult man, a little bit more 30-year-old man. How old is Mario supposed to be anyway? So it wasn't that hard to, high-waisted trousers, a little bit wider of a fit. It's all about wide fits these days. And then, the big shirt over the striped shirt. I thought it was a nice touch. It's an outfit that I myself have worn. It's a little bit of self-indulgence with this one. I really liked my idea for the M on his cap. I made it look like there's a dog outside. Made it It looked like a baseball logo, I think, and I think that was I think that was a good idea. Sue me. Yeah, so you'll see it bounce back and forth quite a bit. Like I said, it's not that I get bored, it's that I get stuck on something and go, fuck, I don't want to do a study, so I start on the other one. I also was trying to work in like little details from the actual characters. So that's why Peach has the P-Wing from Mario 3, because Peach in Mario 3 gives you the P-Wing, lets you fly over the whole level, if you'll recall. Oh, man, the face was looking bad. This is when I noted to myself that more cross-eyed equals less terrifying. So keep that in mind. And then I eventually finally decided to do a study because I was working on that collar and I was like, wait, how does a collar work? I thought I knew, but I kind of only know in like a graphic sense. The dog's back. So I don't actually know how it is like structured. I was like trying to picture in my mind, like how does it fold over? And so pull up some references, do some studies. That's what you got to do. I was getting lazy with that. I do that a lot in this one. I start something. It's a common habit for me. I start it. I'm like, no, I know what this looks like. I can figure this out. And then I just waste a whole bunch of time instead of just pulling up a picture and doing a study. It's really not that hard, but we got to force these things into my brain. Force these good habits. But, we're still learning. Still trying to learn these habits. I recently figured out that the newest version of Clip Studio Paint that I got on heavily discounted, it's like a 60% off sale a few months ago, has the Photoshop liquify tool now, which is super handy. I used to finish a piece, take it into Photoshop and sort of push it around with the liquify tool to fix errors or, proportions or whatever. But now I don't have to do that anymore. It's pretty sweet. Clip Studio's got it all these days, including the animation functions, which we're also going to mess with at some point, although not anytime soon. Soon, but not soon. There's a lot of, I do a fair amount of clothing study for this piece and the next one, especially with regards to like wide fits and draping folds and stuff. It's pretty tricky. I find that you need a lot of empty space, and you need about thinking of these things like cascading down. And sort of the figure drawing rule of like opposing curves, peak curves, applies to opposing peaks on curves, if that makes sense. I'm thinking about how to phrase that. But that applies also to drawing folds and wrinkles. I noticed there. So I like to go over stuff in red that I'm correcting, just to make it stand out and see the difference. Have a hell of a time with the wrinkles on these pants because, I'm trying to convey the sort of material they might be, maybe like a linen or whatever, so they'd be a little bit wrinklier than like, I don't know, like a cotton or even like a 70s polyester style pant or whatever. Hard to convey with just line, and I think I do an okay job eventually, but really it came down to just like a little bit of less is more, because I kept trying to add more wrinkles, and it just kind of was not working. So just got rid of them, and I think it looks okay. I don't know that it makes complete sense, but it's working for me now. There's a lot of messing around with the eyes in these drawings as well, because I want to give the illusion that, the characters are looking at the camera, but when you do that, it can often look kind of creepy. So you kind of have to, I noticed, like, especially with Mario, you kind of have to, like, shift their eyes even further than you might think. Just little stuff like that you don't think about till you, like, do it wrong, and they're like, why does that look so weird? So now I was avoiding it, but I finally started doing some studies on some shoes. And these are obviously, or maybe not so obviously, some Fila's. We got Peach in the Fila chunky white sneaker. I don't remember the model. I don't know how you say it, the type of shoe that it is, but for this one I didn't want to get too bogged down in like drawing a whole bunch of details on the shoe. Like that first study was more about the proportion of the thing and sort of like the larger pieces and shapes. And then the second and third study are more about how that sort of chunky shoe and sole looks at an angle. And I noticed that overlap. At this stage, they look a lot more like basketball shoes, which I was stressing out about for a while because it's not what I was trying to convey. Peach is like a sneakerhead. Not trying to do that. I was not trying to go streetwear with any of these. It's not my thing. And also, I don't really know streetwear at all. Not that I know anything else, but I got this shirt for $4. Not sure what I'm working on here. Oh, I'm just doing what I call line sculpting. Maybe other people call it that. Maybe they don't, but the beauty of digital art is that you can sort of like shave some off your lines or add a little bit more in a way you can't really do with an actual ink. And here I changed the angle of her leg a little bit, just change the anatomy to make it look ideally a little bit less stiff. I'm not sure how successful I was in that, but I think it does a better job to show off the shoe. I think one criticism I would have of this drawing of Peach is that your eyes are like immediately drawn to the shoe. You sort of like just zoom straight down because there's so much more detailed line work down there. I like how they turned out, but I don't know that I love how fast your eye moves through the whole figure. Just basically immediately down, straight down, because that's where the most like visual contrast is, or whatever visual contrast. No, just I guess. Just like heavy line work down there is going to dry your eye really quickly. Anyway, I eventually figured out her face. More cross-eyed equals less terrifying, and that works okay. Similar to what I was talking about with Mario, where it's like if you draw them looking straight at the camera, they have a tendency to like eyes they look like they're going the wrong ways, cockeyed. So if you turn them in a little bit more, it looks a little bit less scary. Still doesn't look quite right. I think she ends up looking a little bit too cross-eyed, but honestly, I'd take too cross-eyed over fucking terrifying. Guess I can take this time to explain my bit with the lav mic. It's a trend I notice. All these artist content creators, these wannabe content creators, they all hold the lav mic. What's up with that? Pin it to your shirt or use a different fucking microphone. Don't hold the goddamn lav mic. It's so weird. You see like the popular artist content creators doing that, and then it trickles down into like the smallest of the small YouTubers. I found a video recommended to me the other day of this woman who, you know, I'm not going to call them out for anything other than this, but she had like 700 views. And she was holding the damn lav mic. What the hell? Why is she doing that too? Don't hold the lav mic. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Driving me fucking insane. Anyway. Just inking. We love inking. So that's why you get my anecdote, because there's not really much to say about the inking. My inking process is still the same. I use an opacity brush with pen pressure on opacity and size. I sort of have tweaked, I think it's the default G pen in Clip Studio, and then I tweaked it to also add opacity. And I tweaked the sensitivity settings. I think it gives you a little bit softer of a line. It makes them a little bit more transparent, which I think looks good for inking, although it does some odd stuff when I start coloring, which I hadn't done until this piece. So you might see it, you might not. And speaking of color, we're working with color. So I initially tried to do this like really nerd fucking scientific shit with Adobe Kula, which is the website that like let you like pick a color and then you can choose which color scheme you want to go, whether it's like analogous or monochromatic or triad or split complementary or all this shit. So I was really trying to work with all that. You can see me pulling up the swatches. With everything that I color, I usually grab like a base color for the background. And then base all my colors based on that. So for that, I grabbed some colors, a main color on Adobe Kula, and then did like a square square setup. I forget what it's called. Like, I mean, it's one of the color harmonies that's, you know, similar to complementary, split complementary, or triad, the square. But it just, this sort of like scientific nerd way of trying to color this just does not work out. So I end up just going vibes based eventually. But yeah, I like to pick a base color for the background and then base all the colors based on that, because that will change your perception of what colors are based on what the background is. I like doing that. I don't know where I picked that up. I don't think color is my strong suit, which is why I haven't really been doing any color. But for this one, I was like, you know what? We'll keep it real simple. Just no shading, no values, just, you know, just straight color. I'm a big fan of the characters standing in the white void with the colored background. I'm a big fan of that. All my OCs stand in a white void with the colored background because I don't know how to do backgrounds, and it's better than just white, I think. Also end up adding some shadows, as you can see, to give them a little bit of presence. I don't know if it works. I think it does okay. So yeah, I guess that's it. It ends really rather quickly. It's interesting what Clip Studio does with the time lapse and color. It seems like it goes so fast at the end there. But anyway, that's a piece. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed my ramblings and musings. I'll see you on the next one.